Good evening and welcome to a discussion on the Nevada Joint Union High School District's State of the District. I'm Brian Hamilton and I'll be your host this evening for our program, hosted here at the home base of Nevada County Media. With us tonight are Superintendent Brett McFadden, Assistant Superintendent Dan Frisella, Career Technical Education Director Aurora Thompson, Jordan Kohler, Director of Facilities and Construction, and Linda Volusian, the District's Scholarship Coordinator. Among the topics we're going to cover, the district's vision and mission, the challenges we all face with COVID-19, major initiatives within the district. We'll also highlight some of the programs and projects, and we'll take a look at the district's future. And with that, we'll turn things over to Superintendent Brett McFadden.
Thank you, Brian. Honored to be here, and I want to say thank you to Nevada County Media for hosting us tonight. We want to welcome everyone to this broadcast, and we hope that you find it useful. As always, if you have any follow-up questions or anything else that you'd like to know about or any concerns that you have, please feel free to reach any one of us or at the district office or any one of our school sites throughout the district. The overview tonight is, as Brian mentioned, is we'll share with you our new district vision, our mission, and our core values that we assembled earlier this year. We'll talk about our challenges that we've had, just like you have had with COVID-19. We'll talk about our moving forward, what our major initiatives are, even in the midst of COVID. We'll highlight some of our programs and projects that we have going on that are part of those initiatives, and then we'll share a little bit about our future and what we see, what the district might look like post-COVID-19. Before we get in, I want to thank our Board of Trustees. The school district is overseen, and the policies of the school district are set by 5 elected Board of Trustees, each representing a specific area of Nevada County. Jamie Reeves is currently the board president. Mr. Al Angelo serves as the clerk. He will be actually leaving the board. He's finished his term and has decided not to run again. Our next long-term member is Mr. Jim Drew, a former teacher in the district, as well as Mr. Jim Hinman, also a former teacher in the district. And finally, representing the South County area of the county and the Bear River High School is Pat Seeley. Our newly elected board member is Mr. Dwayne Gansky, who many of you may remember as a longtime teacher in the district, as well as a basketball coach out of Bear River High School. And Dwayne will take his seat at the December board meeting, and we're excited to have him aboard. Our new district vision and mission, as well as our core values, was established through an interactive and process of consensus and input that we received through district stakeholders, as well as development by our district board and cabinet staff. We have a very bold vision. We are California's districts of choice, preparing all students for success in career, college, and life. Our focus on our mission is that we will provide high-quality educational opportunities for high school students in Western Nevada County. Basing our vision and our mission are a set of core values that we utilize in every single decision that we make, whether large or small. And those core values focus on 5 things. Number 1, quality teaching and learning. Number 2, options for all students. Number 3, respect and inclusion. And number 4, offering healthy and safe environments. And finally, we have a commitment to this community, and so we have a commitment to partner with students, families, as well as the broader community, both individually as well as community organizations, public and private. No mention, or actually no presentation about the state of the district would be complete, and we'd be remiss if we did not touch on the impacts of COVID-19. COVID-19 has had an impact on all aspects of the school district, operationally, instructionally, on a day-to-day basis at all of our school sites, much like it's had in our community, individually, professionally, public and private, and such. The challenges of COVID-19 to date have been incredible uncertainty. Things shift on a daily basis, and we are always having to change and refocus based on new information. Unexpected changes that will occur, and sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 each day. Our colleague Dan Frisella, who you'll hear in a little bit, had a great way of putting this, is that a week during COVID is like a dog year. It is just, you make a number of decisions and a number of things that occur in a given week that normally you'd make over a course of a lifetime. We are very concerned, of course. The other challenges is about our mental health and anxiety of that of our students, our families, and that of our staff. Uncertainty breeds anxiety, and as schools have been closed and not available to in-person services, that has had a direct effect on our students' mental health and even our staff's mental health. We've had to implement new and untried, untested instructional models, and often had to implement 2 or 3 at a time. We have new protocols and new operational methods that we've had to implement in order to ensure safety. And finally, unfortunately, we've experienced significant student learning loss. Now, we're not unique. The district is not unique to that. It's affecting all districts in Nevada County, and in fact, it's affecting all districts in California and throughout the nation. But as students have had to go into distance learning and then perhaps go into a hybrid model, and now possibly may have to go back into distance learning, it's had an impact on their ability to receive high-quality instructional services. Our staff are doing everything they can to try to mitigate this loss, but we are seeing that students have been dramatically impacted by this in terms of their grades, their mental health, and their overall well-being, and we're trying to attack that as much as we can. Nevertheless, despite all of those challenges, we, I believe, have fared well through this crisis. It has been extremely challenging, but we have been successful to date to protecting our students, our staff, and our community against the ravages of this unknown and very mysterious virus. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention and give thanks to our teachers, our student services staff, especially our school nurses, our classified staff, and our school administrators. We owe a huge thanks to our students and our families for the work that they have done and the patience and commitment that they have had to their schools and to public education in general. This community is an incredible, incredible community and has shown its resiliency and its commitment to public education steadfast throughout this crisis. I want to thank our local governments, our county agencies that we've partnered with throughout this challenging time. The Nevada County Superintendent of Schools Office, as well as our other school agencies, and then our businesses and other community leaders and community groups throughout the county. And finally, I just want to thank our community in general. Ms. Malusian is going to talk about our scholarship program. Our scholarship program has an enormous amount of support from a wide array of our community, and that demonstrates this community's commitment to its schools. And without that, we would not have been able to fare as well as we have through this incredible challenge. Our major initiatives, and we'll be highlighting some of these in more detail later through the night, but our major initiatives, even though we're battling the impacts and the challenges associated with COVID-19, we are still keeping the ball moving forward. We are still educating our students, we're still providing services, and one day this challenge and this virus and the pandemic, it will end. And so we need to keep moving forward. So as we are dealing with this and the day-to-day challenges of COVID-19, we're also simultaneously continuing on with our major initiatives. This school year and beyond, our major initiatives include such things as addressing systemic racism and unconscious bias. Over the last few months, especially, our nation has been ravaged with individual incidents of racism as well as violence associated with that, and then the numerous protests that occurred over the summer. We, too, have systematic racism both in our community as well as in our school district, and we have formed a task force to be able to look at that holistically and then be able to address that over the course of the next several years. We'll continue to focus on sound fiscal management and accountability and transparency when it comes to managing taxpayers' resources. Next, we continue to focus on high-quality instruction and learning. That is our bread and butter. That is what we are about, and that is the heart and soul of this district. So whether we are in a distance learning model, a hybrid model, or in a regular education model, quality education and services and options for students remains our top priority that we do. That's the business we're in. We will address our learning loss, as well as credit recovery and the mental health issues and anxiety that our students have faced over the last few months, and we'll make that a high priority over the next several months. We have a continued focus on student services and other barriers to learning, mental health, social emotional issues. And we're also completing our Measure B bond projects, where the community was extremely supportive of us back in 2016 in the passage of Measure B, and you'll see some great successes later on in the presentation. And finally, we continue with community and stakeholder engagement. We can't do this alone, and having the input of our community, our students, our families, our staff, in telling us how we can do better and do things better and do things more efficiently is critically important to us, and we'll continue to partner with our community. And finally, looking to the future. As I mentioned earlier, this pandemic will end. And as we look into the future into 2021, 2022, and 2023, we know that this school district cannot return to its prior normal. We hope to see normalcy return to us, and we want to see our athletic programs get going, and we want to see our visual and performing arts and the normal day-to-day functions that students enjoy at their campuses. But we also know that we must look forward. This pandemic has changed the world, and it will change our world around us, and so we need to be poised for that. So in that hope and in sort of looking forward, we will, in the coming year after the holidays, establish a working group to begin to look at what should our district look like after the pandemic, and how has the pandemic created potential opportunities for us in the future. Next up, to highlight some of these in area of instruction and our educational initiatives, will be our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Dan Frizella.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is a shift for all of us, much like most of our world is doing right now. Typically, we'd be doing this live with the room full of folks. So I miss seeing your faces, but I'm glad to those of you that have decided to tune in, and glad that we still have an opportunity to reach you all. So for us, instructionally, like most of the nation and our world, we've had to be flexible with instruction going into this school year. So in March, when COVID-19 came around and we saw our state shut down, things were turned upside down. And so as you all know very well, our students were forced to jump into what was called distance learning, but what we've really dubbed in hindsight as emergency remote teaching. None of our staff were prepared for delivering instruction in that way. None of our students were prepared for receiving instruction in that way. Our infrastructure wasn't in place in terms of devices and methodologies and instructional tools for delivering instruction remotely. And so we muddled through last spring, and it was difficult, and it was challenging for teachers, it was challenging for families, and most certainly it was challenging for our students. And we spent a ton of time this summer as a leadership team, and typically our school administrators don't get a lot of time off in the summer, but we do get some time off in the summer. But I would say we definitely worked almost around the clock in planning and involving stakeholders, involving other educators, reaching out to our colleagues up and down the county and the state, and involving our teachers in the process of trying to design instruction for the fall in a landscape that we were entirely unsure of. So part of our process was reverting back to the mission and vision of our schools and the mission and vision of our district. And as you heard Mr. McFadden mention, really what we do and what our mission is to provide quality education for our students. And one of our key instructional initiatives in the last 6 years has been the establishment and the development of high-functioning professional learning communities. And we could probably talk for 2 days about what that looks like, but in short, PLCs look like instructors getting together, teachers getting together in common curricular areas to ask 4 key questions. A, what do we want students to know? B, how do we know if they know it? C, what do we do if they don't? And D, what do we do if they do? And so we adopted that model as a leadership team and put that onus on ourselves to work through a similar process for how we were going to prepare our teachers for the coming school year. And so what did we want our teachers to know? Well, A, we wanted them to know how to deliver instruction remotely, and we wanted to give them the tools to do that. Because the one known that we had over the summer was that the only guaranteed way we could deliver instruction was going to be remotely. We may have had schools open, and when Mr. McFadden mentioned dog years in July, when we're planning for school opening the second week of August, we didn't know if we were going to be able to open our doors entirely. We didn't know if we were going to be able to open in some type of hybrid model, or if we were going to have to be full distance. But the one thing we did know is that we could be full distance. So we had to prepare at least for that. And if you folks at home are seeing our slides, the next piece alongside that was a design to our model that could remain fluid. So as things played out, we were able to open up in full distance, and we since shifted to a hybrid model on October 12th. We now currently, as you guys all know, are seeing an increase in COVID cases, and so our teachers, staff, and schools are preparing to possibly be back in the full distance model. But nevertheless, we spent a lot of time preparing content for our teachers, for our students, for our families, for how to deliver instruction remotely, how to be an online student through our learning management system, which is Schoology, and how to navigate that system as a parent. So we spent a lot of time this summer and in the first week of school prepping our teachers for that. And for the most part, the organization and the content and the delivery has been done, I would say, very well, and much better than it was over the summer, over last spring. So where we are now is we're in a place where we are challenged right now. We know our students are challenged right now. We have issues of motivation, issues of engagement, issues of access, student mental health issues, people just not necessarily wanting to plug in and having difficulty plugging in to work through content. And as such, we're seeing, as we've dubbed, learning loss. We're seeing a higher level of students failing classes. And so our team, a number of teams on campus, our administrators, our counseling team, our intervention staff are working on solutions to that for how we're going to mitigate learning loss, how we're going to recover grades, and we're developing plans for backfilling some of those grades over the winter months, over the spring, and over the summer as well. So there's no shortage of challenges, and in terms of operations, we are navigating COVID cases popping up on campus with our staff, with our students. Our nursing staff, our site staff is responding very well to notifying folks, to quarantining folks, and school remains open. And we feel very confident and very comfortable with the structures and protocols that are in place surrounding the COVID-19. And we're pushing forward as a team because that's what our educators do. Our teaching staff has been incredibly flexible, incredibly professional, and they've been working tirelessly to serve our students under very, very difficult, challenging, and uncertain conditions. So that's the gist of our instructional practice right now. We remain fluid, we remain dedicated, and we are moving forward. So I am going to introduce next our Director of CTE and State and Federal Programs, Ms. Aurora Westwood Thompson.
Good evening, and I just want to first thank all of you who are tuning in, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share out on career technical education. I really feel that it's a point of pride within our district and our larger community, and I felt really privileged being able to work with this department over the past year. As you will probably see from our slides, I've highlighted some of the most popular industry sectors at our two comprehensive high schools. In addition, I've outlined our newest addition to our industry, building construction trades, which is a residential and commercial construction course that is now being offered at Park Avenue for the first time this fall, and also is considered a district-wide program. While it enables our Silver Spring students to readily attend, we do offer busing district-wide to that program. So that was an exciting development. For those of you who don't have a lot of background in what career technical education is, I often hear misconceptions that trades programs are out of our schools, and that is simply not the case. They have really taken shape through CTE as opposed to the old ROP model, and our district offers in all 8 industry sectors with 14 pathways in those. So really comprehensive programs that move through everything from arts, media, and entertainment. Specifically, there are pathways in technical theater, in web design, and Again, back to those automotive and trades courses that I think were more typically known 10, 15 years ago as being a part of our schools. So I'm here to assure you those are still a part of our schools and very robust programs in Nevada Joint Union High School District. We are fortunate enough to have 15 highly qualified CTE teachers. Those teachers sometimes teach part-time, others are full-time CTE teachers. The beauty of being a CTE teacher is really it enables folks to bring their industry experience into the classroom. Some of our CTE teachers do hold general teaching credentials, but many of them are directly out of industry, and I think that's a huge asset. As you might imagine, career technical education programs are very expensive to run. They are far more costly than, let's say, an English or a math course with the facilities, the need for equipment, and so we often seek out grant funding to subsidize those costs. To give a little background on that, since last year and moving forward through the next year, we have secured about $4.5 million in grant funding in all. About $3.5 million of that is for facilities projects, so it will offset the bond costs or the costs that were going to the bond, and that's for the NU Ag building, as well as the NU Culinary facility and our new build for our residential and commercial construction at Silver Springs. The other grant funding really goes to equipment and the day-to-day supplies that students need. Again, these courses are very expensive to run. Unfortunately, those grant funds are not free of charge, so to speak. We do have to match them dollar for dollar. So when we are securing those grant funds, it means that we are having to subsidize from other places, and a lot of that comes from our staffing as well as the other supplies and materials that we already secure for those courses. And I just want to highlight with Career Tech Ed in particular, we are so reliant on our industry partners and our community. These things could not happen without our community members. We've had a huge outpouring of support for letters of support when we're securing grant funds. We have industry partners who will put up in-kind donations and other items. And then as our students work through a minimum of a 2-year course sequence to become a CTE completer, we really encourage those students to go out in their capstone year, their final year, out into industry for internships. And that's another place where we are just so grateful for the community that we live in and the support that we've had. We have 2 internship coordinators that support these programs. They do work as our liaisons to the community, but we've just had such tremendous support, and we could not have the robust programs that we do without the community members that come to the table. They also regularly participate in the advisory process, so they are advising us as a district on trends in the industry. That goes down to the minutia of what kind of equipment they're using, what type of certification they'd like our students to have, as well as what types of things they would like to reserve to train on the job. And so we work with them closely in that way. Each of our pathway teachers also engages in advisory meetings at least twice a year. And so it's just been a really incredible way to know who we have in our community, how willing they are to come to the table, and I appreciate every day the opportunity to get to know a little more of Nevada County. So with that, I will turn it over to Jordan Kohler. He's our Director of Facilities and Construction.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to give a huge shout out to the maintenance and operations group that works for the district. Their additions to the workload during COVID-19 has been beyond impressive. When everybody was out and distance teaching at home and things, they were all on the sites, cleaning, setting up classrooms, upgrading air conditioning systems, changing filters, doing all things to get ready for people to come back. They didn't get a break to go home or to shelter in place like many people did, and not that sheltering at home was an easy thing, but they were fully at our campuses. So their work up to now and continuing is very impressive, and very proud of the work that they do. Another huge portion of my position is overseeing the Measure B bond program that was passed in 2016 by Nevada County voters for the district and funding modernizations and upgrades to the facilities. We've done some great projects with it so far. The new track at Bear River High School, the new football turf at Nevada Union. The list is quite extensive. Currently, our two major projects that everybody sees were the Nevada Union upgrades to the pavement and infrastructure below around the wrestling gymnasium and going out the track. That's pretty much done. There's a bus shelter still waiting to go up down there. The Bear River Ag Department modernization is what the name of the title is at Bear River, but that is a large portion of the site that's replacing underground utilities, upgrading handicap pathways, repairing a lot of dry rot, and modernizing the agricultural department down there. That's original construction still from 1988 is, I believe, when that building was finalized. The Nevada Union Ag Department project is a sister project to that, we'll call it. Similar ideas, a little bit smaller, improved the Nevada Union Ag Department complete modernization, new equipment, new things that Aurora's helped immensely with getting modern industry-specific tools into both those shops and ready for students. We've upgraded the HVAC in the gymnasiums at Bear River and Nevada Union, a lot of the classrooms as well. So the alumni of the county, and they've gone through all of Nevada Union, Bear River, remember sweating in the gyms for years and years and years. This next summer there's going to be cool air. There was cool air actually part of this summer, but we didn't have students. So another great project that's getting ready to kick off this spring that Aurora's been instrumental with as well is the Nevada Union Culinary Project. This is a really exciting project for the community and really exciting looking forward. It's a full-scale teaching kitchen where a class of 27 to 28 kids can go in and have a complete culinary experience like you'd have in a restaurant. So it's not the old home ec where you're learning how to bake bread or muffins or whatever. It's going to be restaurant ready. It's complete with a small, we'll kind of call it like a cafe or a Starbucks type area you can come up in the morning, buy your coffee and a scone or whatever's the flavor for the day. It's quite exciting. Park Avenue construction trades. On the slide it shows the old building that we tore down. It was actually one of the older school buildings left in the state. It was built in 1933 and just unfortunately we weren't allowed to upgrade it due to earthquake requirements and things that have come out of the state. They said that it wouldn't hold up, so we've torn that down about a month ago. We finished tearing that down, and we're finalizing approval of the plans through the state and PG&E for connection back onto the grid, looking to break ground on that in the spring. It's going to be a great facility for teaching those new construction trades at Park Avenue. We also have the Nevada Union Band and Choir upgrades. Those buildings as well are from the 70s, haven't been touched much. A lot of handicap accessibility issues and things going in there. That project we're looking to late spring as well to start moving on that, as well as just our ongoing security and technology upgrades. Right after 2016, one of our first projects was to install new security systems at Nevada Union and Bear River, Silver Springs, district-wide, along with the technology backbones that support those, and then also the Wi-Fi and technologies in the rooms, projectors, and those kind of things to them up to as modern as we can. So leading into some new opportunities that are coming up from the district. Outside of the bond, we are finalizing design on a very large solar project for Bear River and Nevada Union campuses. It will offset our consumption of electricity approximately 106% back from what we're pulling from the grid. A major portion of that project is an exciting new Tesla battery pack. It's about 2 megawatts of power that's going to go at Nevada Union. We were able to secure funding for that through a grant program from PG&E, valued at about $2 million. So we've integrated that into the new project. We're finalizing engineering and design with PG&E on how we're backfeeding the grid and looking to break ground on both those projects in the spring of 2021. It's going to be very impressive. They're carport style solar arrays, and they actually cover some of the grounds in the areas around Nevada Union and Bear River to provide shade for activities, dual use. Another great opportunity that we've been presented with and Aurora's excited about and everybody's excited about is a local community members trust has decided to donate an 86-acre ranch located exactly halfway between the Nevada Union and Bear River sites for agricultural education along with recreation and educational uses. So we are finalizing escrow and things with that and hope to start having programs and opportunities for students as early as spring next year out there. It's a beautiful piece and beautiful future for the district. So up next, I'd like to introduce Linda Malusian. She's the district scholarship coordinator.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I know my colleagues have talked a lot about, I just keep hearing the reoccurring theme is community and community and community, and that makes my little heart so proud because I love this community. I'm a product of this community. I'm a product of this school district. I believe in everything that every one of these people that have so far presented is doing. I believe in all of our teachers and our staff and our students and our families, and the bottom line comes back down to our community. Our community makes our school, all of our schools, amazing. We can't do anything without you guys, so thank you. The scholarship program, we are really in a unique situation. Most school districts don't have a scholarship coordinator. I have yet to meet one, and one of the silver linings through COVID is that I have had the opportunity to go to conferences all over our state for free, virtually, and meet all these wonderful people who are doing work in scholarship and funding for the futures of our students, and I have yet to meet one scholarship coordinator. So again, I thank our administration, our board, and our community again, because we have made some significant advancements. This scholarship program has been around for about 25 years, and it was founded upon with the Guidotti Foundation Scholarship. That's like kind of our pioneer pinnacle scholarship. It's the one everyone wants to get to. So we've grown a lot since just having the Guidotti Foundation Scholarship. We now have over 180 scholarships, and we got a few more throughout the summer. We only lost one scholarship due to COVID. So I'm very proud of our community. I know a lot of our community organizations lost their funding. There's no, the fair. Fair is a big fundraiser for a lot of, I call them my scholarships, but they're our scholarships. The fair, any kind of special event where you're raising money, the turkey trot that's coming up, so hopefully everybody registered. Can't wait to find out what the color of the shirts are. We understand that the avenues for the funds coming in could look like it's drying up, but again, I'm so proud. We lost one, and we will be okay. We are still going to offer over 180 scholarships to our students, so well done, Nevada County. Last year, we brought in a new program called Going Merry, and it was basically to bring our scholarship program into our new normal, and not our new normal of COVID, but our new normal of things like computers and phones. So you can now apply to our scholarships, over our 180 scholarships, on the Going Merry app. You can do it on your phone. They even tell me now, I got an email earlier from Going Merry that you can do it on your iWatch now, which I don't recommend that, but the capability's there. So we have a wonderful partnership with Going Merry. This year, we recognized that our district's overall percentage rate for FAFSA, free application for federal student aid, was lower than we wanted it. We want that higher because these are, again, opportunities for our students to get funding for their future dreams and their desires. So Brett has been very supportive in what those avenues look like, and Going Merry came up with, it's called the FAFSA tool by Going Merry, and it helps families and students fill out their FAFSA form And never in a million years would you hear someone say FAFSA was so fun to fill out. Like, those of us that have had to do it either as students or as parents, it's never been fun. That's not a situation that's fun. Going Mary did something amazing. They made it fun. It really is. We're having a great success with it. A lot of our students and families are using it, and they're loving it. No one's getting hung up on different questions, and you can get it done in about 30 minutes. So that was a great investment for not only our students and families, but our community as a whole. The scholarship program would not do well. I would not do well without the support of administration and people like Brett and Dan. So thank you guys very much for, sometimes I come up with crazy ideas and they hone me back in. And so thank you to our administration, to coworkers, but again, our community partners. We can't do any of it without you. Scholarships for 2020, they looked a lot different than we had planned. We had this big event plan, and then March came. And I think events across the nation were canceled for every reason, and still are for that matter. We quickly moved our plans. We quickly moved our plans a few times because we were all back and forth. And we finally, we settled on, we're going to every single drive-through graduation, and we are gonna make our own little scholarship station. And so we ended up handing out scholarship packets at individual graduations for all the different schools. It was great. It was a low-scale celebration for the students. We wanted to give them so much more, but we did what we could. And I think that's kind of been the lesson I've learned through all this is I was tired of seeing what we can't do. And I was glad to see everything that we can do. You know, that is the never-ending possibility. Everything we can do, not everything we cannot do. So for 2020 and beyond, we're gonna keep going. Scholarships have not been affected really at all by COVID or by power shutoffs or by snow days or all the things that we've had to go through in the last couple years that have really kind of made us scratch our heads like, what the heck, you know? So scholarships are doing well. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to those that are thinking about maybe starting a scholarship. Please do. Please contact me. I would love for that. Some things we're working on is expanding our reach. Currently, right now, we only offer scholarships to graduating seniors. We would like to look at 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, because these students and these families, they need help making it to get to be a senior. And there are ways we can come in with some of our existing scholarships. Two of our foundations, potentially, we do have the Nevada Joint Union High School District Foundation, which is our president is Louise Johnson, who is our old superintendent, our former, and then the Gadoti Foundation. And we're looking forward to increasing those partnerships and creating a farther reach for all of our students and not just our senior students. So that's to come. Those are new and exciting opportunities for us. And again, just thank you to our community and our donors. Brian Hamilton, I call him often. He's always willing to come do whatever, which is amazing. So thank you, Brian. Thank you to everybody. We really appreciate it. And next up to close everything, Brett McFadden.
So thank you, Linda. And I want to say thank you to my colleagues here on the panel. And you've had a taste and a highlight of all the great things that are going on. We won't kid you. COVID-19 and the pandemic has been incredibly challenging. I don't think I can say this, but I'm going to say it as well, because COVID sucks. So it has been incredibly challenging, as I've said numerous times in this presentation. But despite that, we're carrying on with our primary mission, and that is to offer high-quality instruction, high-quality learning, and high-quality services to our students in the midst of this unknown and horrific pandemic. And so I will take the Pepsi challenge to any school district in the state of California, and we can show you that we offer the best array of services: direct instruction, intervention services, social-emotional counseling, mental health services, athletics, CTE, mathematics, sciences, and on down the line, a full range of options that we provide to the students in this county, which is very unique. We're a very small district, but we are mighty and we are powerful in terms of the support that we have from you in the community, and the support we have from our own staff, our teachers, our classified staff, and our administrators. We are California's district of choice. And we will prepare all students for success in the college career as well as in their life pursuits. So I believe that our best days are ahead of us, and that we will come through this pandemic bigger, better, and stronger than we were before. And I am internally optimistic, and I believe that for all of us in our community, despite what we're going through now, and many of you, if you've received emails from me, this is sort of my tagline, is that optimism is an ethical duty. And without being optimistic, we cannot affect positive and lasting change for those around us and those for our community. For all of us, we have the best jobs in the world, despite how hard it is these days. We get to get up every day, and we get to serve the students and the families of this great county. And there's nothing finer, and I can't think of anything more noble than that. I get to work with some incredible colleagues, and they make me look good. And so this is really hats off to them. So we are honored to serve this county, and we look forward to doing so in the years ahead. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. You know, if you don't mind, I have a few questions maybe after I've heard this discussion. You know, one of the key things that I heard a lot, referenced a lot, was the loss of learning. As a parent with a student in the district, that certainly concerns me, knowing that the struggles that these kids are facing right now. But how is that loss of learning manifesting itself in terms of people being able to recognize that there's an issue there? And then what's the district able to do to mitigate that? You got, I imagine, more remediation opportunities, but that could be limited by the distance learning and the struggles there with kids, you know, staying online longer to get help. I'm just wondering how the district's going about helping those students who do need the extra help right now.
Yeah, it's a great question, Brian, and it's really myriad of things that are happening, and a lot of trial and error to see where we're finding successes. So there have been since last spring, you know, tutoring that's being offered virtually. We're bringing students on campus also to do small groups of tutoring. We did a series of credit recovery over the summer, this past summer, for a 2-week program for students that failed classes, which is something we haven't offered summer school since 2014. We have some other pockets of programs for our EL students. In particular, we're offering an additional credit recovery course outside of the school day with some extra resources. And it manifests itself with failing grades, which I mentioned earlier, and it also manifests with teachers coming into classes this fall, recognizing that students aren't where they were had they remained in school for the last 2 or 3 months of school last year. So we have been kind of throwing some spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and we're still in the planning process of what's Bruin time going to look like at Bear River for one thing. Can we replicate that at our other school sites? Are those teachers ready to take something like that on? Because it requires an element of heavy lifting when all folks have been doing is lifting heavy things for the last 6 months. So yeah, it's kind of I kind of break it apart in my head as 2 different things. One is the actual loss of skills and content knowledge and those kinds of things. And then the second piece being the actual credits that students need to move toward graduation. So we are actually exploring some credit reduction, some opportunities that there are there for certain populations of students. And then when we mentioned the work of our professional learning communities, that really rests on a premise of scaling back things even under normal conditions to focus on what's essential. We dub it essential learning outcomes. We also dub it our boulders. So we go through an activity with our curricular teams where we take all of the state content standards for their particular course, and we identify particular standards as either boulders, rocks, or butterflies. The boulders are, you have to have those. Those are essential. You're not going to, if you can't demonstrate mastery in those skills, you don't pass go, you don't move on. Versus the rocks, which are good to know, and they're the filler, and then the butterflies that are kind of nice to know. And those are interesting dialogues because, frankly, there are teachers that have things that they love teaching that they've taught for years, little pieces of their curriculum that, hey, that's a butterfly, it's kind of it could fly away and we're going to be all right. They don't necessarily need to know that. So it's also difficult. Our teachers are so dedicated, and they want to do their jobs to fidelity. So asking teachers to scale things back and giving them permission to say, hey, let some of these things slide off. These pieces right here are critical and essential for your course. So it's a paradigm shift. And when we're thinking optimistically, we see opportunity with COVID for teachers to work through that and actually be forced to scale some things back. But that's not to say it's not still a challenge. So we have, Bear River staff worked for 2 hours this week just as a teaching staff to develop some intervention strategies. A survey went out just to our teachers from our teachers union. We've been working at our negotiating table about what sorts of infrastructures we can put in place to support student learning. And we have a team of people getting together the first week of December to spend a good concentrated amount of time to develop some strategies and structure. So it's a work in progress.
You mentioned butterflies. I once had a wrestling coach tell me that sometimes there were kids who needed the wrestling team more than the wrestling team needed them. Those things that we go to school for, that we love to do, and a lot of that stuff's on hold right now. And I'm just wondering, from what you see, you hear from your staff, how that's weighing on kids in terms of their interest in doing this. Because it may seem easier just to get out of bed and open the laptop, but the motivation to go see your friends, to have that teamwork, regardless of whether it's a choir, whether it's a wrestling team, how's that weighing on the mental health of the kids? And then what's being done to support those kids and to identify those that maybe are struggling a little bit more on that side of things?
I'll just start off and just say it weighs heavily, and not just to the students, but to the staff. So there's a synthesis there of energy between the teacher and the student relationship. And from the very beginning, a lot of our teachers that rely on that personal connection, and they draw kids in that way just with their charisma or their stage presence in the classroom, and that's a big engagement piece to get kids to plug in. Teachers struggled, the ones that rely on that kind of a thing. And then it goes both ways. The students also miss out on that. So one of our most effective strategies has been the telephone, and teachers or paraeducators, support staff, intervention staff, counselors calling students directly and saying, hey, how you doing? And even with no pressure not to jam them up about not doing coursework, but just to check in and say hi and see how they're doing. And, do you have what classes do you have today? And are you jumping in? And what can I do to help you out? That's been one piece. And there have been some virtual clubs. There's our ASB programs working on some student activities. They're trying to reach out to individual kids. They're profiling kids on in a positive way on social media to kind of highlight this kid and give them shout outs. So people are dancing and people are getting creative. And some folks, it's not all doom and gloom. There are students that are hitting a stride with distance education and coming along a little more and getting into a routine with things. And the more teachers do that as well, and the more comfort they get delivering in this format, the more opportunity they've been able to kind of be less hyper-focused on how I'm doing this, to kind of see the forest through the trees a little bit. So I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything to the creative approaches teachers have been taking.
I'm happy to share that many of the career technical education teachers have really had to think outside the box, because we're talking about courses that are typically very hands-on. So how do you do a hands-on course, either hybrid 2 days a week and then remotely 2 days a week, all the while having students that are distance learning throughout the entirety of that? And so what many of our CTE teachers have done is they've put together home kits for their projects. I can share as a parent also of a student who's in an agri-science class. We have seeds growing in our home and some other things that have really been a wonderful way for students to come back and share with their families too what they're learning. Does it look the same? Is it scaled the same? No, it's not, but it helps drive home those same concepts. Speaking to our ag mechanics teacher, again, that's a course where it's typically very hands-on. You're doing welding, you might be learning about fundamentals of concrete, small equipment repair, things like that. She had shared that she was putting together plumbing plumbing components and having the students take those home and design some basic fittings and things like that that they were able to mock up and then either bring back in class or take a picture of and share in that way. So I think our teachers, it's just incredible what they've been willing to do. It hasn't come without a cost. I can share that throughout the summer, where generally there's a time where you don't see teachers in, they were already collaborating and planning, and what do those kits look like, and then how do we provide those components. And so a lot of our purchases have shifted from those in-class big projects to, smaller components that we can put in a Tupperware container and get home that way.
Okay. While I have your attention, you're talking about the CTE program with the new one established on construction and building trades. You talked a little bit about earlier the community efforts with working with the Contractors Association. I'm just wondering, and it sounds great that you're doing internships with that kind of work. Is there a placement program, a job placement program for those kids with a lot of these local businesses and builders and constructors?
So formalized, not necessarily yet, but what I can share is those connections that occur between the teacher and the industry partners who are partnering sometimes for externships. So our teachers are also going out into the workplace. Our internship coordinators are subbing them out, I'm going to say in the pre-COVID world, because we really just started to roll with that last year when COVID hit in March, and it did tamper things down. But they are going out and alongside our industry partners, learning what a day looks like, deciding how to bring that back into the classes, and then those relationships turn into, I have this capstone student, I think that they would be perfect to pick up some extra time. They can do that during the course of the day, during the period that they're enrolled, but some of those students also turn that in, obviously, to after school work or summer positions. And what we're working on right now is acknowledge that our CTE site on our district page is not super comprehensive. It's not something that draws you in. And so our big effort over the past couple of months, and hopefully launching in January or February, is to have our industry partners by pathway listed, also have contact for new community members that might have a place for a student to come in or wants to come in and be a guest speaker in one of those classes, and also list our current community jobs within our community for each industry sector. So we're starting to compile a list of positions within the community by industry sector and place those also on the page by pathway.
That's great. Obviously, with distance learning, it means we all need to be able to get on the internet, and we know in Nevada County that's not easy for a lot of us. One thing I read about earlier this year in the advent of the pandemic and distance learning, Truckee Tahoe schools started working and maybe leaning on their cable providers and cellular companies to help families maybe get a DSL line put in or hotspots and things like that. What kind of things has the district done in terms of technology to support those families that don't have Comcast, Suddenlink, or anything that will get them a decent speed and internet connection?
Brian, that's a great question. Fortunately, at the onset of the pandemic, we were already a district that's called a one-to-one district. So for the most part, most of our students had a device that they had during their entire 4 years with us with that. And so we had that infrastructure in place. No doubt, though, that our community and pockets of our community suffers with sort of a technology deficit or an access deficit when it comes to reaching the internet and other services related to that. So we've been very, very aggressive about the purchase of hotspots and being able to provide those to our students. We've also been aggressive in looking at ways that we can offer our school sites as their own hotspots. All of our campuses are wired for wireless services, and so it's possible for students and families to come onto our campuses at any time of day and either sit in the parking lot, or we'll facilitate providing a space for them safely, of course, and which they can be able to access the internet and download their materials. We are working, Mr. Kohler's working with various companies to look at how we can further enhance our wireless services. I know that's been a bone of contention in this community, in certain pockets of the community, but I think we need to realize, and this pandemic has shown, that wireless services and access to the internet are here to stay, and it is a critical component to our economy and our way we do business. We could not conduct our instructional program without it, and so we're working with that. But I think from a community standpoint, I think the community, our elected leaders, as well as us as a school district, need to work even harder in order to provide that, so that we have equitable services and equitable access to all pockets and all cohorts in this county.
Yeah, I think that one thing we're seeing with this is it's almost like where the electrification of the grid years ago, electricity became such an essential part of our lives. That's kind of where we are right now. I mean, you cannot function without decent internet speed, and this is clearly shown.
Yeah, I'll just add, Brian, that my home, which is about 6 minutes from here, I can't get high-speed internet. I've got a device that was shipped to me from Austin, Texas, that links to a cellular signal that doesn't work right now currently. So I can certainly empathize, and even with the deployment of our hotspot devices, we have tons of families that don't have a cell signal, so that doesn't do them much good. And so we have staff as well, counseling staff and our intervention team, that are still building packets, or they'll even download, well, the most common practice is downloading all of a week's worth of content onto a flash drive and either mailing or delivering or having a student pick up that flash drive. They go home and do all their work and load it all back onto that flash drive, and we receive it back. And there are still some paper packets being built. So people are bending over backwards and individually, just working with every student's unique needs too. And I just wanted to add to your mental health question. We have a pretty robust our STARS program. It's our student assistance and resource and support program. We have currently three full-time mental therapists. I think a couple part-time and some overlay in programs. So any student, and if there's families listening, please reach out to our STARS program and make a referral. And people are holding sessions remotely, phone calls, whatever we can to connect students to support if they need it.
That's good. Obviously in this community, we talk a lot about community, as Linda was saying, and the support that frankly, our community has for all aspects of those who live, work, and play here. The gift, 86 acres donated to the school district. Not something you hear happening every day. I'd like to hear a little bit more about what's envisioned with that. I mean, really, it's pretty early in the stages, but when you talk about educational opportunities, agriculture, I mean, are they going to be able to grow crops? Are they going to be able to harvest their own work? I mean, what kind of things are we talking?
We're hoping all of the above. So the ranch is really kind of ideal, and as Jordan Kohler generally describes it, a pretty typical ranch that you would see along McCourtney. It has, a fair amount of water. It's fenced. There are buildings and outbuildings on it right now, but we obviously need to put some facilities in, classroom type facilities. We've recently gone down to Lincoln, that has a robust school farm, and kind of looked at that as an example. Initially, we're thinking it will house our student projects. There are many students who raise livestock, generally auctioned off at the fair, this year virtually. And so certainly that's one of those things that falls naturally in, but ideally, absolutely, we want to start making that a central place, not just for our high school students and their projects, but really for use throughout their educational process. As they're studying agri-science and things like that, going out to the ranch and utilizing that as a project space. We also want to really expand and try and capture some of our feeder school students. So there's an idea there that, maybe we have a Farm Friday or some other type of event where our ag students in high school are supporting our younger students coming in, and then those students can really feel like they have a place and belonging in those programs. I think beyond our ag programs, which are the natural fit, we've also looked at other recreational uses. You know, could we use it for cross country? Are there other biology courses that would want to go there outside of our biology course that's being taught through the ag program and utilize, you know, maybe taking samples out of the pond or whatever may exist there. And so we are looking to expand those uses. We have not pinned down anything specifically yet. Right now, we're generating a lot of ideas and are working to put together a committee to really determine what the vision for the property is.
Also, community-wise type of discussion. You know, you've created a task force on the issue of race and racism and bias. What's the response been like from students, staff, community members, and has there been a lot of interest in getting involved with this?
Yes, it's been a very, it sparked a lot of interest within the district among our students and staff, overwhelming. In fact, I would say that the creation of this group was really sparked by our students. One particular group that's amazing has been a group of our alumni that shortly after the murder of George Floyd last spring, that they took it upon themselves to develop a position paper and a petition. And that petition took off organically online to where we have over 900 individuals inside this county, alumni, members of this community, staff members, business owners and such, so just a wide swath of individuals in Nevada County that signed on to that petition. And that petition advocates for a set of policy changes and changes in protocol and practice that the district should consider. And it's well laid out. And in fact, probably will end up being sort of the blueprint of systematic change that we hope to bring about. I think we need to be honest with ourselves, and we need to be honest with the community. As any agency, and this is not an indictment of us. It's not an indictment of our community, but we, like everyone else in the world, have unconscious bias, and it's just a part of our humanity. Unfortunately, that has been displayed in some horrific and violent and unsettling events of late, as well as in our history. And so I think we need to be honest that we likely have elements of systemic racism built into our district, either in its curriculum or maybe perhaps in our practices, and we have that in our community as well. And so we know that we don't just operate in a bubble. We are a part of this community, and so that's what we hope to bring about that. It's not easy. It's going to be messy. It's going to be hard. It could be contentious, and it has been contentious. Not everyone is happy about us working on this, but I think it's a critical element to who we are and who we need to become as a school district and as an education leaders. And it is a critical component to our core values and to our mission overall. We're excited about it, but we know it's going to be a tremendous amount of work.
You know, that community involvement, obviously, when things are going great, it's all wonderful to hear that. But when folks don't agree with the decisions that are being made by the board or even staff members, officials like yourself, locally, people aren't shy about sharing those opinions. And I know that this summer, with a lot of the turmoil that's been going on in our community, obviously an election year as well, the pandemic, people questioning on, you know, should you be fully open, you know, in a hybrid model, distance learning. How's that weighing on your staff? And actually, how do you receive that in a way that maybe allows you to move forward in a positive direction, as opposed to sometimes when it can be very combative and sometimes maybe not show enough respect for the hard work that's going on right now with our educators here locally to try to make things work in a world that none of us understood 8 months ago.
That's been extremely tough. In fact, you know, I was 6'3" and 130 pounds before this pandemic. So that isn't true, of course. but yeah, the good news about this community is it's very involved, and and there's a wide spectrum of individuals, and that creates a very robust debate and dialogue that takes place. Bad news about this community is we're a wide spectrum of people that are very robust, very opinionated, and such. And so yeah, we hear from all sides in terms of feelings about the pandemic and what we should be doing and how we should be operating, and we have to navigate that. It's been very, very tough. One thing that I've tried to strive, and we've tried to strive, is that this is going to pass. And we may not remember all the actions that we took during this pandemic, but we will remember how we treated each other and how we were treated. And so I think it behooves us as a community in our Nevada County way to make sure that even though we have robust opinions and differences of opinions, that we do so respectfully, recognizing that we have one core interest, one common interest, and that is the success of this community and the well-being of this community. And so even those that perhaps during the summer were, I will call it, perhaps detractors of what we were doing at that point in time, I never doubted their passion for this community and for our schools. And even though some of them have been rather critical of us, they're good folks, and I'll sit down and meet them for a dinner, coffee, or a beer any day of the week.
Well, with that, I want to thank you all for making time for this and joining us here. I also want to thank everybody for watching at home, for tuning in, and also to Nevada County Media for continuing to host forums like this that are geared toward something that's close to my heart, and that is making sure our community is well informed. So thank you all, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.